Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Marion. This is a continuation of part 1. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you ought to click on the link in the description box below. It will take you to part 1 of the construction of this amazing cardigan. Then you can come back and join us for this is part 2. Thank you so much for being here. Let's jump right in and continue from where we left off. Basically, this is the structure of this cardigan. As you can see, I'm done working all the panels, the 3 panels, the back panel and the 2 front panels. So at this point, we are done with all the sleeves. This is just a video to show you the positioning. I have used some stitch markers to mark where the sleeves will be positioned on both sides, yes? On both sides. So the distance from right here, this armhole distance is 10 inches long, even on the other side. And then now, after positioning the entire cardigan like that, we are going to use single crochets on both sides to make the seams on all the sides, this side and also on this side. We will use single crochets to make that seam. Also at the shoulder right here, we are also going to use single crochets right here. As you can see, I have placed a stitch marker to show you where exactly you will stop. We are stopping here because we want to leave this distance open for the cape. The cape will be right here. So you will leave exactly 3 inches from this is the front panel, so you will leave exactly 3 inches from here all the way to where you will stop. And also on this other side, this is 3 inches from here to here. So when we open this part like this, since we already had 6 inches and then we add this 3 and this 3, that is 12 inches. This 3 and this 3, we get 18 inches. So when we are going to construct our next step, which is the cape that will come over here, it is going to be exactly 18 inches long. Remember, when we are working on this part, everything should be on the wrong side. Just make sure the right sides are facing and you're working on the wrong side of the cardigan. So we will start with the shoulder seam. What you do here is what you do here once again. I've joined the sleeve and this side. As you can see, this is the seam. So I want to show you how I've done it. As you can see, this other side is not joined at all. This is the front seam and the front panel, and this is the back panel. So we're going to do this part together, but as you can see, I'm done with this part. It's actually very neat. Look at the right side. You can't even notice where the seam is. It's flawless. It blends with the rest of the ribbing on the panels. And in the wrong side, on the wrong side, this is the seam that we have. So let's do this and see how we go about it. We're going to start this side seam from down here at the hem. As we go upwards towards the sleeve, remember this is where the sleeve will start from. We had marked this part, and it's 10 inches from the shoulder seam all the way to this part. So mark this off. This is your sleeve width, right? And then this is where we are going to hem. Remember, we are still working on the wrong side, so make your slip knot and insert right here at the bottom, and then chain one. We're going to be making single crochets in each and every stitch. So just get this side and this other side of the panel. Be careful not to skip any stitch at this point. We're just working our single crochets. So you will do this until you get to the armpits. That is where we will stop and attach the sleeve together. So continue working all the way up. So I've been doing the seam up until the part where we had marked off the 10-inch gap. Now we need to insert this sleeve inside here. Remember, we are still working on the wrong side, so just make sure everything is nice and well placed. So I need you to get this part very clearly. This sleeve, this is the right side of the sleeve. This is the right side of the cardigan, this one. But when we turn like this, this is the wrong side, and the sleeve is rightly inserted in there. So meaning we are going to work on the wrong side of the cardigan, but this is going to be the right side. So after we have done the seam up to this part, we're going to remove the stitch marker, and then we continue working with single crochets up until the shoulder seam, and then down until we get to this seam also. So let me get my stitch marker and mark this part. Mark right here, and then we will continue to work this part. Once you have your stitch marker in place, you can now continue working your single crochets. You will insert your hook on the sleeve, get that stitch right there, just to make sure all the seams are aligning. The seam from the sleeve and the seam from the cardigan are in line, and then now you can do your first stitch right there. Remember, we are working with single crochets, so just insert your hook right on the cardigan, and then the next get towards the sleeve, and then pull up a loop through them all and make your single crochet. And make your single crochet like that. Just make sure to get each and every stitch. Don't skip any. So I'm going to work all through till I get to the stitch marker, and then I will work downwards until I get to this part. So I will meet you once you get to this part at the intersection, and then the only remaining part will be fastening off all the hanging threads and, you know, going to the next stage of this cardigan. I'm coming towards the end of seaming, just left with a few stitches and everything will be nice and intact. So this is the very last stitch actually, right there. And then just to make sure everything is, we can overlap this very last stitch. Like that. And then now we fasten off. And just like that we are done. See how this seams align? There's definitely a straight line from the sleeve seam to the cardigan seam and this other seam. So I want my collar to be 10 inches long. I am going to chain a total of 40. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 40 chains are giving me like 10 inches. And I'm going to add one chain. This is going to be the turning chain because we are working this part using half double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook in the second chain from the hook and work your first half double crochet. Continue working half double crochets until you get to the end of this row. So I'm coming towards the end of the row. That is my last stitch. And then now we're going to chain one, turn our work, and we're going to go into the back loop only when we are working the second row. So this and the rest of the rows will have half double crochet in the back loop only. And of course, your collar can be as long as you want it. You can make it longer than 10 inches or smaller than 10 inches. It's according to you. But I just want mine to be this length. So continue working your rows of half double crochet in the back loop only until you attain 18 inches on this part. Don't forget to get to enter the very last stitch here so that your work is straight enough without leaving any stitches out. So this is what we do. I'm left with 2 stitches, that one, and the very last one that will be placed right here at the end of the row. And then chain 1, turn your work, and continue working in the back loop only with half double crochets. So we'll continue working like this until you have 18 inches. Okay. I went ahead to do my 18 inches, and this is 46 rows in total. This is what we have. Now we're going to place this on the collar part of the cardigan. and line it well so that we can use our darning needle to sew them together. Let me show you. So at this point, you can use your stitch markers to line all the rows in order like me. Make sure everything is in line, as you can see here, like this. All the rows on the collar and all the rows on the body of the cardigan should align. So you can use stitch markers. If you don't, you can just use scrap yarn like I have done on my cardigan. So we're going to use threading your darning needle, because that is what we're going to use to join these two parts together. And how we are going to do it is just going back and forth like that. Make sure you leave a substantial amount of yarn hanging so that you can weave in the ends when you're done. So this is how we're going to be doing it. I'm going to sew the whole thing from this end all the way to the other end. And at this point, you have to be very patient because sewing is not a joke. You'll have to be patient with the process, okay? But just make sure everything is tight and neat. Don't be in a hurry, just go step by step like that. So I'm going to do this all around until I get to this part. The next part we are going to do is the ribbing on the front part of the cardigan, the border, and at this part you're going to be using your 4mm crochet hook. So make a slip knot and chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Add one chain as the turning chain and then go into the second chain and make single crochets. So we're going to work with single crochets on this part. And once you get to the end of the chain, you're going to chain 1 and now turn your work and go into the back loop of the previous single crochets. That is where you place your single crochets on this row. So we are working with single crochets in the back loop only. By the end of it, make sure you have 10 single crochets. chain 1, turn, and you're going to repeat this process until you have a lengthy ribbing that will cover all the way from the hem of the cardigan towards the collar and around the collar and down towards the other side of it. So I have completed mine, and it's really long. This is the longest part you will have to create because it's covering like the entire thing. Now let us position on the cardigan and see how to attach it. So this is going to go on this part. As I said, it has to be long enough to go on this side until you get to the other side of the cardigan. So thread in your yarn needle, and this is what we are going to use to attach these two together. So once you do that, you can remove your stitch marker. Next part we're doing is the pocket. So this pocket is as much functional as it is decorative. You can make it as lengthy and wider as you want it. These are my dimensions. I chain here 20, and then I'm gonna do a ribbing on the top. So let's walk through it and just get to know how I did it. So to begin, I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook. Just make a slip knot and chain 20, or however much you want to chain. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20. Once you have your chain, add 1 as the turning chain and then go into the... So yes, we are going to add 1 and then go into the second chain and work our half double crochets, and on this part we are going to be using half double crochets. So you will construct this half double crochets until you get to the end of this row, and at the end you should be having 20 of them. I've come to the end of the row. That is my last half double crochet. So you'll chain one, turn, and go into the very first half double crochet from the previous row in the back loop, and continue working half double crochets in the back loop until you also get to the end of this row. Don't forget the very last stitch, because it's important that we maintain the equal amount of stitches on each row. Once you get that, turn, chain one, and then you will work your next row in the back loop only, also starting from the very first stitch, and you will work this until you also have 20 stitches. Now continue working these rows until you have 10 of them, like I have done on the other pocket. So I'm going to continue off camera. For the next part, we are going to place single crochets on top of these rows, and each row is going to receive 2 single crochets. So at the end of this, you should be having a total number of 20 single crochets. So you will place 2 single crochets in each and every row. Once you get to that part, we're going to construct 2 chains and then turn our work and start working double crochets. So each and every single crochet is going to receive a double crochet, and to work a double crochet, you yarn over, insert your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, you have 2, pull through the 2 and the 2, and then you're done with your double crochet. So you're going to work these double crochets until you get to the end of that very row. Make sure you get to the very end, and you should leave your stitches as as loose as possible, because you can see at this moment I was really struggling to get that stitch, and it's important to get it in order to maintain the stitch count. Whew, I managed. So we're going to chain 2, and on the next row we're going to be working front and back post double crochets. So they are alternating. You get a front post, the next part is a back post, front post and a back post. This is just a ribbing to make sure that our pockets are finished well. This is just giving it a fancy finish, and I chose the front and back post double crochets because they look amazing on the pocket. So work until you get to the very last stitch, and once you're done, you're going to work 2 of these pockets because we need both of them for both sides. And before you cut this yarn, you're going to leave a lengthy amount of yarn that you will use to attach to the cardigan. So that is me leaving my yarn. I actually left a lot, but that's okay. This is how we're going to position our pocket. Make sure to use your stitch markers to put it in place, and it should align. Both of them should align properly. So how I do this is that I measure from the shoulder all the way to where I want my pocket to be is 18 inches. But this depends on your height. You can put your cardigan on and get to know where you want your pocket. And then we are going to use this darning needle to sew the pocket in place. And this is how I am doing it. So once you complete the pocket, the next part we are going to do is the belt. My belt is about 90 inches long. You can do it 100, you can do 70, just as long as you want it, yeah. So I am going to be using half double crochets, and I'll be using a 4mm crochet hook because I want my belt to be a little bit tight, the stitches that is. So you are going to make your chains, and here I'm chaining a total number of 7. That is 6 plus 1 because I don't want my belt to be so thick, but you can do 10 or as much as you want. So yarn over and go into the second chain with a half double crochet, and you're going to make 6 half double crochets by the end of this chain. Now to maintain this number, you're going to make sure you go into up to the very last stitch all through. So when you get to the last stitch, you're going to chain 1, turn, and this time round we're not going into the back loop only, but we are taking all the loops. So this is just the normal half double crochet that you usually create. And now we will repeat this row where we are going up to the very last stitch with that half double crochet, and then chain 1, turn, and go into the very first stitch and do your first double crochet and your half double crochet, and you're going to do this as you maintain the number until you have a lengthy cord that will be your belt. Once you're done with the belt, we're going to construct these loops. Make 2 for both sides where the belt will go through, just to fasten the belt, yeah. Once you're done with that part, ladies and gentlemen, I am happy to tell you that you will have completed the construction of this cardigan. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial and for following this tutorial. If you do recreate this, please tag me on Instagram. My name is Marion. Marion Crochets everywhere, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye bye.